Would you like to know what you can do to land a sponsored job in Australia? Well then, keep watching.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Oh, we are all looking for adventure.
Before we continue with the episode, I just quickly wanted to jump in here to let you know that we are going to run a very interesting webinar pretty soon this week. And I suggest that you get onto our notifications as soon as possible. What's it about? Well, my friend, I'm going to tell you about the 3 biggest mistakes that migrants make and what you can do about it so that you don't make those same mistakes. I'm also going to tell you about the 3 secrets that successful migrants do. I'm going to let you in on them. And whether you should use an agent or not, if you want to apply for a visa, can you do it on your own or not, and how to land that perfect job down under so that you can make your way over to this amazing country as soon as possible. How can you do that? You can hop onto chamonixtv.com.au/register to pick a time and join us on the webinar. All right, my friend, let's jump into the episode.
Hi there and welcome back to today's video. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at 10 steps that you can do to land that ideal sponsor job in Australia. But before we continue, are you subscribed to this channel? Come on, hit the subscribe button. All right, let's roll into this video. This video is intended for people who want to come to Australia on a skill set or with their occupation. In other words, something that you are used to doing, are good at doing, and have been doing for quite a while, and most often goes along with some kind of certification or degree that you have obtained as a part of showing that you have that skill set. But there are many other ways that you can come into Australia, of course, as a visitor if you don't want to come and work here, and I'm sure that's not why you're watching this video. But you can also come on things like a business visa or some other kind of global talent visa and many other ways. But this video is for you if you want to use your skill set and your occupation as your means of landing a sponsored job to come into Australia. What does sponsorship mean though? It's a term that's quite confusing for a lot of people, and I can totally understand why, because generally speaking, if we talk about a sponsor, then it means it's somebody that gives you money to do something. However, in the Australian terms for migrating to Australia, a sponsorship refers to an employer who actually sponsors you with a job to come to Australia. It doesn't mean that they necessarily pay for your expenses to make the move over, but it means that they sponsor you with a job offer. In other words, that means that you then fall into a category of a visa where you need a job sponsor to be able to apply for that category. And most often, those kind of categories are really fastly processed by the immigration department because it's already been proven that there is an employer that needs you in Australia as soon as possible. So if you can get a sponsored visa to come to Australia, that means it's an employer who said, I essentially nominate this person, Peter, Jack, whoever, who can do this job, which we need in our company. That is what we mean by a sponsored job. If you're thinking about, oh, okay, Chamonix, that's actually not what I had in mind. I was more thinking about somebody who pays for my stuff to come over to Australia and then it would be nice to then also have the job. Well, my friend, that is talking about the employer who then covers some of the costs of your relocation, some or all of your costs, and maybe the costs of your visa application or costs of your registration for your professional body that you might need to do. For example, if you're a medical profession and you have to register with the APRA board, then your employer might agree to pay some of those costs. However, again, a sponsored job, if you're talking about a sponsored job in Australia, it means purely that it is somebody who has given you a job as a job offer to say that we are prepared to apply for you for this visa to come to Australia. But of course, my friend, you, if you're unsure, need to speak to a migration agent so that they can clarify all these things for you. It's really important that you understand the field that you're trying to enter into very well. You can do it yourself. Yes, you can go onto the website and go and read up on all the visa categories yourself, of course. And there is a lot of great information on there. but it is easier if you just get in contact with a migration agent who can then also advise you on your different options. And if you need that, we can put you in touch with some great agents. So just comment below and we will organize that for you. All right, now that we know the difference between a sponsored position and an employer who covers some or all of your relocation costs, hopefully, because that would be really nice. Now we can talk about how you can get that job. The first step that we have is one of research, my friend, because I always say, if you know me by now and you've been watching me for a while on my videos, I always say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And of course, it is very much true for this as well. So the first thing is to make sure that you arm yourself with all the information that you need to know before you embark on this process. And you need to do a lot of research into all the different things that you need to know. The first thing that you need to know is to actually determine what the kind of job is that you have. Well, okay, you know what it is that you do. However, you need to determine whether this job that you do, or this occupation that you hold, whether it is on the list of occupations that Australia allows to be sponsored onto a visa to come into the country. Unfortunately, not all jobs are, or not all occupations are allowed to get a work visa to come into Australia. And there's a really good reason for that, because Australia needs to make sure that they only allow people into the country who are going to contribute positively to the economy. And Australia don't need skills in all categories. There are only some categories that they do need skills in, and they actually happen to be quite extensive though. So you might be surprised to see what all those occupations are that you can find on the list of skills or occupations that are allowed to be sponsored by an employer to come into Australia and come and work here. So you need to check whether your skill is on the list, and on this link that's on the screen at the moment, you can pop onto there and it should give you a good indication on whether your occupation is one that will be sponsored or allowed to be sponsored by an employer. But of course, as I said, you can also talk to a migration agent and we can help put you in touch with a great agent if you wish. And if you are going through the route of getting a sponsored position, you can usually ask your prospective employer as well, because they probably would know by now whether they are allowed to sponsor somebody for that specific position to come into Australia. For a company to be able to sponsor somebody, they also need to go through several steps to be able to be classified as a sponsor that's agreed by the immigration department. So most likely that if you're going to be talking to an employer who is advertising a sponsorship position, that they will all very well know whether they can allow a sponsored position, because they needed to have done some applications, or will need to do for you. If that's a new position that they're creating and they haven't done it before, they'll need to go through several steps of becoming a nominator, or being able to nominate somebody to come over on a skilled occupation. Also, you can go to websites like seek.com.au or Indeed, and you will quickly see, if you type in, for example, engineers, that there will be a lot of options that come up. And then it's a matter of searching for which one it says sponsored position available, and you will know then as well, or just be some more support if you were unsure about whether your occupation qualifies or not. And then once you've done that, as part of your research, the other step that you need to do is to check whether your occupation needs to be registered with a specific professional body in Australia. For example, if you're a teacher, then you would have to get registered with the Teachers Board in Australia. So those are all steps that you'll have to do as a part of this process in the long run of firstly landing a job, and secondly then applying for a visa later on once you've had your job. It is possible, if you don't want to come on a sponsored job, that you can for some categories apply for a visa first. Of course, yes, those do exist. This video is intended to speak to people who want to have a sponsored job before they apply for their visa. There are also, the visas are all different. Some visas will allow you to only come on a sponsored job, and some visas will allow you to come without any job. So again, speak to your migration agent if you're not sure, or you can go onto the department's website and you can go and read up. There's quite a lot of information on there, but I am sure if you're up to it, then you should be able to do it. It is really important that you get the right information, my friends. So please don't go onto Facebook groups or any other social media and rely on the feedback that you get through there. Make sure that you get the right information, because it's crucial that you do the right things to be able to maximize your chances of coming over to Australia. The second step is to get your CV or your resume asified, as I like to call it. Yes, my friend, the CV that you have in your country might not be ideal for the Australian market. And what does that mean? Well, it means there are little quirks here and there that you need to incorporate into it. And it also shows to the prospective employer that you've actually gone the extra mile and made your CV look like it needs to be for the Australian market. So it shows that you're a proactive kind of person, and it really reflects well. And of course, it makes it easier for that employer to find the information that they are after. One of the things that I regularly see that people don't do is they don't include their age on their CV. Now, of course, if you want to come to Australia, one of the most important things, apart from the fact that you're trying to use your occupation to come in, if you want to come for a sponsored job, is your age, because that makes a massive difference as well in the visa situation that you might be embarking upon. So please make sure you include your age. It's essential that you make sure that your resume is easy to read, concise, and to the point of what it is that they're asking for in the job application. You should also draft a template cover letter so that you have it ready for all those jobs you'll be applying for, and you can just change the bits that of course needs to be changed, like people's names and company names, and then of course tailoring your cover letter to that specific job application. And then there is something that's called selection criteria. It's really important here in Australia as part of most of job application processes. And that is something where they ask you about specific scenarios or skill sets that you may have, or hopefully have usually. And they basically ask you to explain or provide some examples of how you have dealt with this kind of situation in the past. So that is a document that takes usually quite a bit of time to write, and it's pretty much a document that you write per job application. If you do a lot of job applications, you'll start seeing that a lot of them overlap with the kind of stuff that they ask you to provide in your selection criteria. So of course you can then tap into some of the things that you've used for previous job applications. But in general terms, selection criteria documents will take a bit of time for you to do, and you have to make sure that it is very specific for each application that you are going to submit. Of course, if you need advice or somebody to look over your CV for you and provide you with some feedback or help you Ausify your CV, we can do that for you. Send an email to hello@chamonixtv.com.au. Here is the link, and we will get in touch and let you know what to do so that we can help you Ausify your CV. Step number 3 is to work with a recruiter if there is a recruiter available for your specific occupation. Now, recruiters don't necessarily cover all occupations. There are some industries that you wouldn't probably find any recruiters in, but then there are some other industries who are much better with having recruiters who can look to find a job for you on your behalf. And these are generally stuff that falls within, say, mining or in resources or in medical fields. Those are the ones that you're most likely to find recruiters in. They can provide you with valuable advice and assistance in landing that ideal sponsored job. We have recently established a company called Quackaroo that does exactly that. It is a recruitment company, and I've listened to my members my followers who've been following me for a while on Chamonix TV, and you guys have said to me very loud and clear, please Chamonix, we want somebody who can help us find those jobs. And I've listened. So we have brought this to you called Quackaroo. And if you are in the following categories, if you are in mining or any kind of trades like electricians, boilermakers, plumbers, draftsmen, millwrights, ropers, riggers, diesel mechanics, any of those kind of trades or mining related positions, engineers, then you need to reach out to me as soon as possible. And then, of course, if you are in any medical profession, that is the other category that we specialize in. So doctors, nurses, physios, OTs, audiologists, the list goes on. If that's you, then also please be in touch. If you don't fall into any of those categories, my friend, then please go to www.chamonixtv.com.au/sponsorships. In this link, you will find a form that you can fill out and add what occupation it is that you have. And if we know that there are any kind of sponsored jobs coming up for your industry or the occupation that you have highlighted in this form, then we will be in touch and we will let you know when the next jobs are available. The fourth step is to do the business of applying for that job. Oh, well, really applying for more than one job, to be honest, because you're probably going to be casting your net a few times before you will land that perfect fish. So go out, and if you've got a recruiter, then work through them. They will advise you when they've got opportunities available, and make sure that you help your recruiter with all the information that they ask for, provided to them as diligently as possible, because if they go into bat on your behalf with an employer saying, hey, this is Shamenda and Shamenda is a great nurse, then you would need to really support the recruiter looking after you, because Shamenda needs to also have APRA registration in Australia, which is the nurses' way of getting their board registration done in Australia. And to get that APRA registration, there is a number of steps that you need to know to do, but only Shamenda can do those steps. The recruiter can't do those steps on behalf of Shamenda. So go to your recruiter and support them to apply for the specific positions that they might have. Or if you're doing this directly, and you most certainly can be applying for sponsorship positions directly if you don't know of any recruiters in your field, then you can go to the website. So you go to seek.com.au and you go and read up on all the detail that they have in that job description, and make sure that you cover off on everything in there line by line. I usually take a pen, and if I do it in a hard copy, and I work through every sentence and make sure that I've done exactly what it is or understood what is in there, and I cover it off, I cross it out until I've worked through the whole ad top to bottom, and just make sure that, yeah, I'm not leaving any details out or I'm not doing anything wrong. And also make sure, my friend, that you submit your application in time before the deadline. In fact, it looks much better if you submit your application way before the deadline, because it shows that, again, you're a proactive person. This is the kind of person you're going to be when you're working somewhere. You're going to deliver before the deadlines and you're going to be on top of it. So if you want to stand out and beat the crowd, make sure that you do those things. Also, of course, don't do spelling errors. Read through your document. Don't just rely on a spell check. You can have some people check it for you, and I suggest that you get the person that you know that's the best with language in your field or in your household, or maybe a colleague. If you trust them, let them read through your cover letter selection criteria and your CV, because you will not believe how many of those I see with blatantly obvious spelling errors. The fifth thing that you can and should do is to network, because ultimately it is your network, the people around you, the people that you get in touch with, that are going to help you find that job. Yes, I know you can apply for a random job online, but if you actually reach out and start to get to know the people in those kind of companies that you ideally would like to work for, then, my friend, it's going to be so much easier if you apply for a job and you already know the people or they know about you. Things that you can do is to look up where conferences are in your industry, whether there are conferences that you can attend in person or whether there are virtual options. You want to be on that list. You want to be seen. You want to be out getting to know people. Go and attend all those very uncomfortable cocktail kind of events that you hear so often about. Be out there, Be talking to people because that is going to help you so much. The sixth step that I have for you to do is to establish yourself as a passionate employee. Now, I don't know about you, but if you've actually employed people in the past, or if you've thought about that process, you don't really want to be employing somebody who's going to be dragging their feet at work, do you? No, you want to employ somebody who is going to be friendly, excited, happy about where they are and what they do, and on top of what they do. I'm not saying you need to have the highest degree of anything. I am saying you need to have the passion and the grit and the determination to find out what the things are that you need to know and to show it and put it on display. And one thing that is available to anybody is social media. You can right away start posting weekly about things that you love doing in your occupation. If there's anything that you think about in your job on a daily basis that bothers you, I'm not talking about your employer, I'm talking about the kind of job that you do or the occupation or the work that, for example, if you're an architect and there is some certain things that really annoys you and most other architects would be dealing with that thing too, that is a great topic for you to be posting about on social media. You can post on LinkedIn. Yeah, you can use Facebook as well, but LinkedIn is probably the more professional, or it's definitely the more professional platform to be posting about. You can create a Facebook profile, a page where you are doing a more professional delivery of who you are in your occupation. But LinkedIn is a great way to go, and you can be posting on there. Just write a short little piece about why you think this thing is annoying, or you think that this would be a good idea to solve it, because always try and see if you can come up with solutions to the problems. Or maybe just ask the question, what do others think? What are their opinion? How do they feel about it? And another thing that you can do is to just post about conferences that might be coming up in your industry, share really good, valuable information, and try and be regular. Do weekly postings. Put yourself in a position where you say, okay, I'm either going to batch produce 12 posts that I can do over the next 3 months, so every week one post. Keep putting stuff out there, because the more that you show that you are a passionate employee or a passionate architect or a passionate civil technician or whatever it is that you do, doesn't matter. You can be in any occupation and be out there talking about things that you do in your industry, how you feel about things, how excited you are about something, or if there's any legislation changes that have happened, or something interesting that you've done at work this week, or just there are so many things that you can write about. Just take a photo of the view that you have while you're working and say how grateful you are that you are able to participate in this role that you have. Anything. Be out there, be seen to be talking positively and excitedly about what you do. And if you're not excited about what you do, my friend, then maybe you should consider doing something else, because life is going to be a long road for you to be doing something that's going to make you miserable. So please try and find something that's going to light you up. And also remember that it's always possible to see the glass half full instead of half empty. So it might be that you just need to change your perspective about your occupation if it's something that you're not really enjoying. Maybe if you start putting out some positive stuff and you look for the bright side, you might actually realize that there is a lot in there for you which you didn't notice before. So my friend, that's it for now with the networking. Make sure you are out there doing networking in step number 5 and establishing yourself as a passionate employee in step number 6. Step number 7 is to prepare for the interviews. Yes, my friend, because if you're going to be working hard at applying for sponsored jobs, then you should also start getting ready for when you do land your interviews. And it's a very important part, because the interview is the part where you actually bring personality to the table. And this is your opportunity to show them in person as well that you are passionate about what you do. I'm not saying walk in there and ooze dripping of some fakeness. Okay, no. Get excited within yourself, believe in what you do, and trust your faith in the whole process, and go in with a positive attitude And then it's also a good opportunity for you to refer back to your, say, LinkedIn profile, or how you really love what you do, and it's evident through things like the fact that you have a regular discussion about your occupation, or things that are good in your opinion, or things that you think can be done better, or where you've connected people, or just spoken about your industry and things that are happening in general, and being like the go-to person for your occupation. Once you have landed that interview, make sure that you go back to the job description and you read through it properly again. Maybe have a conversation with your recruiter again and ask them what are those specific things that they might want to hear, and practice some example questions. The internet is full of example questions that you can find for interviews. And then, of course, make sure that you know what's been happening in your industry the last week, month, year at least, before you go into the interview. Watch the news for at least a week before you go for your interview, so that you know what is happening in your field. Or if somebody in general in your interview talks about something like the war that's going on in Ukraine, if that was the case back then at least you know, like, you're informed and you are aware of what's going on in the world around you. Step number 8 is to be patient. Now, I don't know about you, but last time I checked, Rome wasn't built in a day. Neither was the perfect sponsorship position landed in a day. I know there are some people who get lucky, I guess, but in the famous words of somebody that you hopefully know very well, if you're of my ilk and age, you will be aware of Mr. Gary Player. And he used to say, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Funny how that is, hey? Yeah, exactly. It's not about luck, my friend. It's about the effort that you put in, and patience, perseverance, determination, and keep going at it. Don't stop, because you never know when the next one might be that yes that you've been waiting for. The process of landing an ideal job takes a lot of time. You'll need to be patient, but it's also very handy to keep a journal of what you've been doing and keep track of how many jobs that you've been applying for and what their feedback has been to you. So if you don't get feedback from a Dear Johnny, I always call it a Dear Johnny letter, the ones that says, thank you very much, but on this occasion you did not make it, then go and ask them if they would mind providing you with some individualized feedback on things that you might be able to improve upon for that next job interview. And if you're working with a recruiter, then of course they should be able to provide you with some information as well, and work at those things. Keep a journal and make sure you tick off, and every time you apply for the next job, you try and better yourself just that 5 or 10%. The 9th step is to apply for your visa. So you have now received that letter that you've been waiting for so much that says, Dear Peter, you have been offered a position at our company. We would love you to start with us in X, Y, or Z time. Then, my friend, you still need to jump another hurdle, and that's the one of a visa. So either your employer is going to help you apply for the visa, which most likely will be the case if it is a sponsored role. Then the employer or the recruitment agent will already have a migration agent that they can and will employ into making this visa a success for you. Or in some cases, it might be that you're going to do that visa application yourself. Whichever way, you have to apply for the visa. And again, it's a lot of paperwork involved and a lot of making sure that you check off everything that it is that they ask of you to submit. And if you're using an agent, be in constant contact with them, make sure that you know what's going on. And they have to provide you with that information because it's your visa and they're working on behalf of you. So throughout the whole process, you will be informed of the steps. They'll tell you if they need any specific documentation that you haven't provided them yet. And my friend, just make sure to keep the faith and stay patient. And then, my friend, the last step is the one where you start getting excited. Because now you can start planning this move, the big thing of packing the bags, getting the dogs ready if you're bringing your animals with you, and getting the rest of the family and the household ready to make the big move over. Now, what's involved in that? There is a lot of things involved in actually making the move over to Australia. So many things that you have to keep in mind. What can you pack? What can't you pack? How much does it cost to bring a container? How long does it take? Do you have to have your pets vaccinated? What kind of checks do they need? Do you need to do anything about your tax situation in your home country? Because, spoiler alert, the answer is yes. How do you go about with your money? How much money do you need to get the process going? And how much money do you need to keep yourself going once you've landed there? Where are you going to get jobs for your husband or your wife, for the other person who didn't get the sponsor job but who were also traveling as part of the family unit? Which schools to pick for your children? Which suburb is the ideal one? How do you get a house? And the list goes on. There is so much that you need to prepare in order to make the move over to Australia once you know that you have got the sponsor job and the visa is hopefully on its way, or you've already received the good news about the visa. Now, it's difficult to know what you don't know. All right, I get this. And that's why, after all my years of working with migrants and being in the industry and also being a migrant myself, I've learned that it is the best thing to put a course together for people so that they can just make their whole life easier and work through it with us. And it's called Migration Made Easy. Yes, it is a course, an 8-week course that you can do. It's all online. And we teach you everything that you need to know in terms of making your way over to Australia. If you are the main applicant and you have received the job sponsorship, we will also be teaching your other half, if you come with a partner, on how they can land their ideal job in Australia. We go through it step by step, and I provide personalized feedback for people about what it is that they can do to better their chances and how to change their CV and things like that, all included in Migration Made Easy. It is an 8-week online course, as I said, and it's run mostly through videos, but we also do, for the VIP version, we also do weekly Zoom sessions live with you, and we pretty much hold your hand and work through it. We work on your mindset because this is a very important aspect of making the move over to Australia. A lot of people sadly fail because they didn't do the mindset preparation work that's needed to make a move over such a magnitude marathon move of moving to another country. And that is all part of Migration Made Easy, where we prepare you for success. We maximize your chances of making it over and loving the journey, not dreading it and not knowing where to go or what to do. So if this is something that you're interested in, I've got some good news, because we are opening the doors to Migration Made Easy this week, my friend. Yes, that is right. In fact, we're opening the doors for you today. So if you want to know more about that, head over to www.chamonixtv.com.au/now in capital letters, and you can get more information about Migration Made Easy. The doors will only be open for a week, so be sure that you get in very quickly. Otherwise, it is locked doors, and we don't have any determined time in the future that we will be opening the doors again. So if you want to get in now. And it's very important you can get into Migration Made Easy long before you've landed a sponsored job, because we also teach you how to land the sponsored job if you don't have one yet, and we walk you through the whole process of jobs and what's involved with the visas and whether you should use a migration agent or whether you can do it yourself, and so much more. Okay, I hope that you are starting to get uber excited about this whole process. Those were the 10 steps that you can do to make your move over to Australia as a sponsored candidate for a specific position. And I have a question of the day for you, and that is to tell me in the comment section below, what is your occupation? I would love to know that. Thanks for watching. As I said, remember, the doors for Migration Made Easy opens today, so make sure that you get yourself organized. www.chamonixtv.com.au/now in capital letters, because the time is now for you to get into Migration Made Easy and make your migration dreams a reality. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some value out of it. If you've been watching up until this point, I'm sure that you have found some steps or some tips that you can make your own and start using it today. Don't wait until tomorrow, my friend, because if you want to make the move over to Australia, you got to be proactive and you got to start going at it. All right, please share and like the video, share it with your friends, share it with your family. And come back next week because there will be another valuable video for you on how you can make your journey to this incredibly amazing country a reality. I look forward to seeing you then. Adios, my Australian amigos.
All right, my friend, I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. Now, remember, if you want to learn about the 3 biggest mistakes that migrants make and be let in on the 3 biggest secrets that they also do, the ones that are successful, you need to make sure that you get onto our webinar this week. chamonixtv.com.au/register will provide you the options to pick a time and come back and learn also how you can land your ideal job in Australia as soon as possible. Thanks for coming back each week. I hope you enjoyed it and that you will hit the subscribe button below so that you are notified whenever we release a new episode. Okay, my friend, I'll see you in the next one.